So we introduced this concept on the heels of we have to get rid of zero sum, and it's just called positive sum. This all comes from when I was in grad school. We did a lot of game theory at that time, and this is part of the game theory. All positive sum means is instead of one or the other interest, this concept of balancing, you get rid of that notion and you replace the verses with an and. So you can do X and Y in a doubly enabling manner where both interests can prevail and grow. And by doing so, you will gain a competitive advantage. First of all, because very few people know how to do this well, and you can do this, and it will be a doubly enabling system. It's very simple to do. This is just for your information. This is the logo we've done, Privacy by Design. And I'm calling this a decade of privacy by design because the international framework was just passed, and it's really getting a lot of legs already. So you'll be seeing that a lot. Again, it's predicated on the positive sum model, and it's very, very simple. It is getting rid of the verses, replacing it with an and, knowing that you can do both interests, privacy and whatever other functionality, in this case of e-metering, energy use, smart grid, you can do both, and they're both absolutely essential to preserve. Now, we have a whole platform on how we do this. There's a trilogy of applications. I'm not going to bore you with this. We focused initially on IT, embedding it into the design of technology. We've extended it to accountable business practices and networked infrastructure. We can talk about some of this later on if you would like. The essential thing is, if you're talking about any kind of technology, system, networked infrastructure, you've got to embed privacy. And if you do it through privacy by design, you will gain a significant advantage. Just for your information, if you're wondering what are the principles or what is it about, I've gone through most of it. One of the fundamental differences, though, it's proactive. And you might think, yeah, so, well, the manner in which we presently do privacy is largely not proactive. We have regulatory systems that impose certain penalties upon individuals after the fact. We offer these systems of redress when the harm, the privacy harm, a data breach, for example, has arisen. That's reactive, it's after the fact, it's not as effective, and it costs so much more than doing it before the fact, doing it proactively, embedding privacy as a core functionality into your architecture, into your systems design. Privacy as the default setting makes your life much easier. Again, if you have embedded privacy proactively as the default, and by default means it's automatic. Nobody has to ask for it. They get privacy. If nothing else happens, privacy prevails. That doesn't mean that people can't opt into various services that can make use of their information. The privacy as the default means I don't have to think about it. I do a neighbors test. I have wonderful neighbors who aren't in the field of privacy, and I want to make sure they understand what I'm talking about. So I was trying to explain the default, and one of my neighbors said, so I'm trying to understand this. You mean I get privacy for free? I don't have to ask for it? I said, yes, that's exactly it. And she said, that's great. I want that because, you know, I'm busy. Everybody's busy. There are so many demands on our time. It's impossible to expect people to go and read privacy policies and all that. You may be watching what's happening. Right now there's a hearing started yesterday on the whole Apple mobile tracking story. And they were called to the Hill, and all these issues arose out of the fact that people didn't know that their geolocation data was being tracked and used for a variety of purposes. Now, there's nothing wrong with geolocation data. In fact, it is essential for emergency services and, you know, a variety of things. But what was missing was the kind of visibility and transparency of that information. Nobody knew this. So now everyone's saying, oh my God, I'm being tracked when I use my Apple, my iPhone. And of course, that's not what Apple wants. So Steve Jobs comes back, and he was very clear, perhaps a week too late, But he was very clear. He said, Apple never tracks, we've never tracked, we don't track now, we'll never will. Clear, succinct statements. Some say too little, too late. I doubt that. But the point is, lead with respect for user privacy. When you keep it user-centric, that means you have openness and transparency about what you're doing with their information. By their information, I mean personally identifiable information, either with personal identifiers linked to the data or through a process of data linkage that the link can be made. I want to be clear. If you're talking about aggregate data, truly anonymized data, personal identifiers have been severed, you do what you want with it. Use it for data analytics. Data analytics, very, very important, enormous value in that. You have to be able to do that. But you have to think clearly what that involves, and can this thing be tracked back to the individual user? We're doing a paper, it'll be out later in the summer, on exactly this subject, because there's enormous value in anonymizing data. And people's, lately it's been said that, well, yeah, but the possibility of re-identification exists, so why bother? Of course you bother. You bother because it's not that easy to re-identify. You bother because life's not perfect, and as long as you really make a strong effort to anonymize, the likelihood is it will largely stay anonymized, and there's enormous value in that. You still put your money in the bank, banks get robbed, things happen, life's not perfect, but you minimize the risks associated with it. Anonymization takes you a long way. Aggregation of data by severing the personal identifiers enables you to extract value from the data and perform various data analytics. We're not opposed to that. So again, positive sum enables you to do that.